how to take it easy on yourself, removing the psychological barriers to happiness and higher consciousness. Many times we think that if you work hard, you will achieve it. But that doesn't work with consciousness. These rules do not apply to consciousness because it is not about working hard. It is not about how many hours you meditate or how advanced in yoga you are. How far you can stretch your physical body in various asanas, how long you can stay quiet without even a single thought. You just keep your mind frozen. Just not a single thought can enter my mind. So people have a lot of ideas of how it should be. And therefore there is this sense that I have to do something, that I have to push myself, I have to achieve something, I have to attain something, I have to gain something. And of course, in the Western mentality, you need to work hard for it. Yeah, you need to work hard for it. So we approach spirituality and consciousness with the Western mentality. Work hard and achieve something. However, that's not the case. The case is to see all these patterns, how you push yourself. It's to see the patterns of how you push yourself. It's to see the patterns of what you demand from yourself. What is your demand to yourself? And let's examine a little bit closer. What is your demand to yourself? Your demand to yourself comes from the ideals. So you hold a certain picture in your mind of how it should be. It has to be this way. And enlightenment needs to be this way. That's a big topic of how enlightenment is supposed to be. But how you have to be. And you have a certain idea, a certain picture at the back of your mind of how you are supposed to be. And you're giving yourself demands to match those ideals. And what happens in the real reality is that you have created a demand to yourself that you need to work on this, you need to achieve that. And you're giving instruction to your body that I have to do this. And what usually the body also receives, that something is wrong or something is missing. So you see where the problem arises, that you create an ideal in your mind. You create a mental picture of the most ideal way or most ideal you. And it's all serene and blissful and beautiful, and nobody disturbs you and nobody distracts you, and it's all flowers and blossoms and sunshine. And as soon as your partner steps into your living room where you're meditating, it's all destroyed. It's all gone in an instant. So anyhow, you have an ideal of how it's supposed to be. and you're creating a demand to yourself. So this demand becomes subconscious, and it's even imprinted into your nervous system that something is wrong, that I need to work on it, that this is not enough. And what happens in the real reality is that your body is struggling. It is struggling to match the image in your mind, which is not present here. So it creates a struggle within you that you are not enough, that this is not enough, and that something is missing. And therefore you create the struggle for yourself, for your body, and your body is struggling. And since your nervous system has an imprint, a mental image, and your cells are very primitive, they're functioning the open and closed way. So if something is wrong, they close down. If you feel abundant, happy, and good, they're open. But since you hold an image that this is the ideal way, and of course I'm not this way right now, I'm not ideal at all, so I need to push myself. And in your nervous system, there's a closure, and your body starts to feel contract, that something is missing, that I'm not good enough, that this is not fine as it is. So your nervous system starts to contract, your cells start to contract, your body starts to close. And then you hold this beautiful image in your mind, but actually that beautiful image in your mind is closing your body. It's shutting down your system. It's shutting down your energy. And that's called struggle. Yes, and you know that if I do this, I will get there and I will achieve this, and then it will be all peace and flowers and so forth. But now there is a big struggle. And this big struggle is self-created. It happens semi-automatically, it happens habitually, it happens unconsciously, and it happens because of ignorance of how you work. So therefore you need to take it easy on yourself. You need to take it easy on yourself, and you need to remove those psychological barriers. And they happen very innocently. You know, these ideas they come into your awareness very innocently. You know, maybe you saw a beautiful woman or a beautiful man, or some celebrity or successful person or a spiritual teacher, and suddenly that image became your ideal, and very innocently got stored into your system. And then, of course, the whole media it's totally bombarding you every single day. You know, you were watching TV before, and now you learned how to turn off the TV, but now you're opening your Facebook, and that's another huge marketing system, and it just keeps bombarding you with all kinds of ideas. And you open Instagram, and Instagram is absolute idealism. There is nothing else on Instagram apart from idealism. You know, and it's so far-fetched that it's so distant from reality. You know what people do with Photoshop and all these big, beautiful pictures on Instagram. So essentially, it is still idealism. And what happens is that it goes into your mind, and it goes into your subconsciousness, and these images get stored into your nervous system. And every one of you has certain images at the back of your mind of how it is supposed to be, of what is ideal to you, of either how the world needs to be, this is external idealism, or how you are supposed to be, the internal idealism. And you will recognize that that is a big cause of struggle. It is a very large cause of struggle. Because basically you are demanding the reality to match the idealism. But reality is like this, in the present moment, like this. And you are demanding your present moment reality to match something which is not present, which is something at the back of your mind. So you're demanding the universe, and you're saying to the universe that this moment is not enough, and something is wrong or something is missing. So I want to bring you into your awareness that there is an image at the back of your mind of what is idea. And take a few moments to slowly inquire, what images are you holding at the back of your mind of what are you struggling for? What are you aiming for? Of course, goals are required. Goals are required to achieve something in life. Let's not argue about this. That's correct. You need some goals to achieve something, to do something in your life, to make a change, yes. But without a struggle. Yes, without a struggle. You may need to work hard on some new things to learn, especially professionally and, in a physical way, or hobbies or arts or sports or whatever, skills, these are various kinds of skills that you need to work for, yes, but not to struggle for. Yes, not to struggle for. So my invitation to you is to relax your idealism, to accept more this present moment the way it is, and to allow your psychology, your psyche to relax. Allow your psyche to relax. Allow your mind to relax. Allow your emotions to stop struggling, pushing, becoming sad, becoming frustrated, becoming angry, becoming fearful, becoming worried that you will never achieve this or that. And even relax your body, your cells, because everything is fine right now in you. The only thing which is not fine is that you're pushing yourself too much. Otherwise, everything is fine in you. And you will recognize that this self-pushingness is keeping you away from your true self, from that which you truly seek for, peace, happiness, love. That pushingness has a distance. It is exactly that, some call it desire, but I'm explaining a deeper mechanism of desire. This inner pushingness is actually keeping you away from happiness, peace, love, from becoming that which you want to become. So if you let go for a moment this ideal image of you, or ideal way of how it needs to be, has to be, should be, or in the negative polarity of why it is not like this. Why there is so much pain, why there is so much suffering, why I'm not good enough, and why it's this and that. That's the negative polarity. In the positive polarity, you hold something beautiful that you're struggling for. In the negative polarity, you're saying, I don't want this. And you're struggling because of that. It works on both sides, positive polarity, negative polarity. And both of them are pushing you. Yeah, they're creating that inner struggle. So things that you don't want are making you struggle. And things that you push yourself for, that you want, are also making you struggle. Now that's where the mind stops working. It says, so what should I do? Well, listen and don't rush. And this is a meditative inquiry. It is a meditative inquiry. It's meant to be observed. It's not about understanding. It's meant to be observed and felt into that, yes, I am doing so. That, yes, it rings my bell. It sounds true. And there is a struggle. All the things that I don't want make me struggle. And all the things that I do want and I idealize and aim for also make me struggle. And relax. Take it easy. And there's a degree of unease. Everyone has a certain degree of unease. And that unease is basically the force of how forcefully you're pushing yourself. So slow it down. If you feel that there is a huge force in you, like a train, you can slow down. You can slow down and take it easier. Because when you slow down, it's always easier to manage any big forces, any big energies. So slowing down really helps. Observing yourself really helps. Just watching yourself, how these mechanisms are pushing you. Either I want or I don't want. And it creates the inner struggle, the inner resistance, the inner frustration, the inner worry. Yes, we are uncovering one of the deepest roots of the struggle. And take it easy on yourself. Because if you understand the way you are, the way you work, is the less you push yourself, the more you will relax, the more you will open, and the quicker you will achieve that or accept that and find peace. So allow your cells to open. Allow your emotions to open. Allow your psychology to open. Allow your mind to open. Allow your heart to open. When you push yourself less, everything opens. And this is how you start to remove the psychological barriers to your happiness, to the peace that you seek for, to the freedom from conditions. And therefore, that becomes the quickest way. It becomes the quickest way by seeing how much you are creating self-struggle. And this is the mechanism of desire, but let's not call it so. Let's recognize the positive polarity of that which you idealize and seek for. And the negative polarity is that which you avoid, which you want, which you don't want, which you want to avoid. And take it easy on both sides. On both sides. And that's where peace arises. Happiness, love arises. Acceptance. And the struggle is released. And you come back to the inner balance. And your natural happiness, natural joy returns. So now let's do a practice all together. And the first step is to slow down. You can feel your breath. Connect with the natural rhythm of your breath. How you breathe in, how you breathe out. It's a natural rhythm of breath. You can close your eyes. You can slowly start to observe what kind of struggle is present. On the positive side, what you're aiming for, what you're seeking for. On the negative side, what you don't want, and what you want to avoid. And take it easy on both sides. A few moments allowing yourself not to seek and not to avoid. Make it softer and rounder. Bring in more feminine energy of softness, roundness, gentleness, kindness, self-compassion, self-love. Relax the seeking, relax the avoiding. And slowly your acceptance increases. your capacity to be present increases. Your capacity to stay in the isness increases. Your capacity to be in the now increases. Because you're no longer seeking or avoiding. Some of you have already mastered the struggle. Some of you are already the masters of struggle. Some of you already mastered being a focused train. Some of you are experienced seekers. Some of you are experienced avoiders. But now it's time to relax and take it easy. Take it easy on yourself. And this is how you return to the present moment more and more. Even if it's difficult right now, but you are returning to the present moment more and more. You are returning to the aliveness of the now, aliveness of existence. And observe yourself very closely, how seeking arises, comes up, or how avoidance comes in and becomes uncomfortable. Observe yourself very closely. And this is how your capacity of being in the now increases. Because the mind can only go left or right, to seek or avoid. And staying in this neutral position, into a relaxed position, is the golden spot. It's the spot where your capacity increases, where the mind is no longer entertained in a positive or negative way. It is a neutral position. It is a place of the true stillness. And this stillness is not stale. It is alive. It is not boring or empty. It is alive. Because you are alive. Your body is alive. Everything is alive. Everything is vibrating. Everything is happening. Everything is existing. Obviously so. So let's take it easy. Seeking and avoiding. Let's observe very closely. And that is the way home. And the mind starts running out of steam. It starts to surrender. Capacity of being increases. Relax and soften, bringing more gentleness and kindness, taking it easier on yourself. When you are ready, you can slowly start coming back. We will dedicate some time for questions and answers and inquiry.
Hello, Mindo. Thank you so much.
Hello, hello.
I was wondering if you could elaborate a bit more on the avoidance of
We have to elaborate on avoidance, yes.
that resonated with me.
Yes, yes. There are many ways that avoidance happens. You know, we want to avoid conflicts. We want to avoid something negative. We want to avoid something uncomfortable. We want to avoid something painful. And paradoxically, that avoidance actually keeps, it just prolongs. It keeps and prolongs that which is avoided. And one of the biggest ones is avoidance of the fear. And avoidance of the fear is being afraid of the fear. And whenever one is afraid of the fear is winning. Yes. So you can only win over the fear by meeting it. Only by meeting it. Only by being with it. In this meditative, inquiring way. Because ultimately, everything which is being avoided within you is kept in you. And therefore, sooner or later, you will have to meet that. And better sooner than later, because there is also the law of attraction and the law of manifestation. And if you continuously avoid something, it's going to continuously come to you. And the life then manifests. You don't want life to manifest you physical, experiential situations with other people, with environment, because a manifestation of people and environment is already the last step, that the last step of manifestation that the universe has taken to fully manifest in a physical way. So therefore, it is much better to deal with challenges in a meditative way, and to deal with challenges in advance. So that way you will live more and more harmoniously, and whatever happens, then comes more wisdom to meet whatever happens. So whatever happens in life, if you have worked on it already within, you will meet with more wisdom in life, in manifestation, in situations, circumstances, people, relationships, environments. So therefore, it is worth investing some time and effort into this practice that we did today. Because some people are driven, to seek, and some people are driven to continuously avoid. Because avoidance can happen because you might prefer your peaceful space. Yes, and since you prefer your peaceful world and your peaceful space, then the outside world is like a jungle. And therefore it's a bit dangerous to go outside, because in your world, in your personal world, you have this peaceful situation. And outside is jungle, is the wild, wild west. Very much so it is, in humanity itself. So that can be a very big reason to avoid. But however, life always wants you to meet life fully, to become one with life, to become life. So therefore you can't stay in your peaceful cocoon, in a peaceful space for too long, because somebody will start knocking on your doors sooner or later. And life will say, hello, I'm still here. There's so much to be opened to and explored. And eventually life wants to be fully one with life, as life. And that then creates an immense richness, immense closeness, immense oneness with whatever happens in life. Yes, and this mechanism of preferring my peaceful space, preferring my comfort zone, it's a very big motivation to avoid. And I know it very much so because my nature is also very peaceful and very comforting, and I always placed so much priority to that and to deal with things later. But life has taught me, it's literally splashing all these challenges into my face. And then I realized that there's a wisdom of life, that life wants to always, we may say, teach something. And eventually there's no teaching. Eventually there's oneness. So eventually life wanted me to become one with life, as life. And at that eventual merging or unity, and when all the walls of separation, my space, this space, my world, and the world, all these walls of separations have dissolved, and then the real peace settled. And that becomes the real thing.
It was very, very peaceful, filled with love, and I was surrounded by my highest self through today, and thank you for that.
Yes, thank you for sharing. Yes. It comes into a deep self-acceptance, and at some points, it can be a very beautiful opening. At some points, it can be a very deep processing. And whichever way it goes, it allows you to accept your natural self more, and to allow that which is of the mind, which is being sought or avoided, to be to be dissolved more, because in this way, in this practice, we're no longer fueling the mind, and we are allowing ourselves to pause for a moment and to see those both sides. And that is a very profound seeing, a very liberating seeing.
Yes, the mind is hard to, I've been struggling with that. So where I'm at now is I just say, I surrender to non-peace every time I catch my mind going, you know, and then I get a moment of, okay.
Yes, yes, and that's a relief, yes. When you surrender to non-peace, to the mind doing whatever it does, that becomes peaceful. And the mind has its function.
Thank you.
The mind has its processes, and we should not, fight with the mind. We should not block the mind. We should not, become the enemy of the mind. No, the mind needs to do what it does, but we need to be one step deeper. And this practice that we did today, it is deeper than the mind. And then there is this acceptance of whatever it does, of whatever the mind does. We have one more question. Can we elaborate on a continuous seeking state? Yes, and the seeking can be relentless, and the same way the seeking comes in, and we have deep desires, and the biggest desire, or the best desire that you could ever have, is for freedom, liberation. But once you come to the door of liberation, you have to burn that desire of liberation. So seeking is wanting for something preferred, and in some ways there is a projection of preference onto the present moment. And this projection of preference onto the present moment, depending on the intensity of that which you seek, can become the intensity of struggle. So you need to know what is your aim, what is your goal, what is the purpose and destination. You need to know that, but not be victim of that. You need to know your path. You need to know where you're going. You need to know what you want to achieve. Softly. And if this seeking becomes addiction, then there is a problem. If this seeking becomes a habit, I need that, I want more, it becomes addiction, a spiritual addiction, a mental addiction, a psychological addiction. Of course, alcohol and drugs is a physical addiction, but addiction arises in psychology. And to some extent, to some degree, everyone has a certain amount of addiction. However, having a goal is okay. You know, wanting for a better life is okay. Wanting for a better job and more opportunities and relationship, it's all okay. As long as it's not addictive. As long as it's not a habit. And what happens very oftenly that from mental habits, people come to spiritual habits and to spiritual addictions. And that is very common. And there is even a terminology for that. It's called being a seeker. And of course, it's a burning desire for freedom. But it becomes a burden of unwantedness, of the mind, of pain, of avoidance. So you see, there are these vicious cycles that one can fall into. And therefore, even spirituality can become addictive and can become a problem. And therefore, one loses touch with the ground, one loses touch with reality, one starts to live only in 5D, only in heaven, and there is no earth anymore, and there is no physical anymore, and that becomes a big separation. It becomes a massive separation because one no longer wants to be here, present. And therefore, it's addictive. The separation can be even can be dangerous. And many people, spiritual people, go through these cycles of wanting to be in heaven, wanting to be in these ecstatic states and altered states of consciousness, other dimensions, preferred emotions. And to some extent, everybody wants that in some ways. And we may say it is fine. You may say it is human. I will say it is habitual. And relax. Even that which you want so much, relax. Let it come to you. Don't be like a drowning man. Yeah, so relax your desires. And that which is truly meant for you, it will come. That which you truly have, it will come. That which is truly meant, it will come. And of course, it's always a middle way. It doesn't mean that now you can say, all right, so there's nothing I need to do anymore. I'm just going to chill out under the palm tree. Well, that will be called laziness. There's always a middle way. You're always walking on the edge of the mind. And basically this edge is you're walking like on a rope, like a circus artist in a circus when they walk on a rope. If they swing to one side, they will fall. If they swing to another side, they're gonna fall. So if you swing into the seeking, you're gonna fall into the mind. If you swing into avoidance, you're gonna fall into the mind. And the rope is quite narrow. And yes, just like the circus artist needs 10,000 hours of training, to be able to walk on that rope and perform all kinds of tricks while walking on that rope. The same way you need 10,000 hours of practice to be right in the middle. And that is called the middle way. It is neither on one side nor the other. It's always in the middle. And that middle is like a rope. Sometimes it's even slippery rope. Sometimes there's a big wind and it just blasts you right away. You stand up on a rope and whoop, you slip. You stand up on a rope and the wind, just blows you off. And it's fine. It's totally fine. But every time you pick up yourself and stand up again, you're learning something. You're learning how to balance. You're learning how to be beyond the mind. And the mind is like a weather. Some days are more peaceful, some days are stormy. Every day is different. But you have your practice. And this practice is the middle way. And therefore, every time you practice, you become better at it. You process the two sides of the mind more and more. In Buddhism, they say that there's a universal principle that every single living being seeks for pleasure and wants to avoid suffering. Every single living being wants that. To seek for pleasure and avoid suffering. But let's remove two words, pleasure and suffering. So every living being seeks and avoids. And therefore only very few are truly free. Yeah, so that is called the middle way. And take it as a practice. There's no failure in it. There's no failure in it. Take it as a practice, and the practice makes it perfect. If you give it 10,000 hours of practice, you're going to be right there. You're going to serve the mind. You're going to serve the energy. You're going to be like the circus artist or like a surfer riding the waves. And that's the art of being. That is the art of now.